What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey episode number 153, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinny Parisi, and I am delusional about my hockey team. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller. And he, you know it's bad when he's not as delusional about his hockey team. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Great intro, VP.
I'm delusional about my hockey team.
I could see that.
They have no shot, and I still think they have a shot. But
Yeah,
they have
no
no
shot.
They
They
have
have
no
no
shot.
shot.
They
I
have
gotta pull
no
up the
shot.
standings
If
so I
they
can
win
really make
out,
fun of
if
you.
they win out, they'll have 94 points, which is usually enough to make the playoffs.
Do you know how hard it is to win out?
Yes. And until they don't,
I don't think you're super delusional. Like I think they're not gonna make it,
I don't either.
but it's not it's not as crazy as it may sound to the viewers who aren't looking at the standings.
By beating the Toronto Maple Leafs yesterday, their odds in Vegas went from 9% to 13%. That's a pretty hefty jump.
It is a hefty jump. Now they're only 5 points behind the Capitals.
Yep.
Very doable.
Yep.
You really don't have to worry about the Red Wings. Yeah, it's a team you got to jump. They got a game in hand, 3 points behind them, but they've been like slumping so bad.
Yep.
I think the Devils are better than them right now. So really, the only team you got to worry about is the Capitals. Now 5 points behind the Capitals, and the Capitals have 2 games in hand. That's what's hefty because the Capitals have been lightning hot. That's what you got to worry about.
Let me be clear. I think the Devils are better than all these teams on paper. Jack Hughes missed 11. He sure missed 10. Their goaltending's been atrocious. Frank, do you know that they are 6th in the NHL in expected goals for at 5-on-5?
That's crazy.
I mean, they are one of the best offensive teams in the NHL. They score a poop ton of goals. Do you know that at the time of the trade deadline, they were second to last in goaltending? And right now, Jake Allen and Capo Kakinen have brought them from second to last in goaltending to 6th worst. They've gone up a little bit.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not impossible, but
do you agree with me that I'm excited for next year? Like, should I be excited for next year? Back to being a cup contender?
Yeah. Yeah, they should be.
If they get a goaltender?
Yeah,
if they get a goaltender and stay healthy. If they get a goaltender, is Jake Allen good enough as a 1B?
He's good enough. Yeah, I was gonna say you took the words out of your mouth.
35 games.
He's not good as a 1A. You'll need somebody else, but as a 1B, as like a backup or like where you switch up, kind of like the Bruins do with Allmark and Swayman. If they rotated, I think he's good enough for that. But you don't want like him and like
Schmidt or Dawes.
Yeah, like Dawes as the backup. Like no, then it's like we're kind of flirting with old habits here. But
so he's been amazing since coming to the Devils. I don't think it would last for a full season that good. So I would like to see him get a guy who can make 55 starts for you, and then the rest go to Allen. If it's Markstrom and Allen next year, I'll be feeling real nice.
Yeah, Markstrom would be nice.
Yeah,
he's had a bad season this year, though. He's been irritating me in fantasy terms.
Yeah, in fantasy terms, I get it. I would love to have him on the Devils.
He loses to the Hawks yesterday.
Yeah, that was tough.
Well, it's up a 3-piece, and they struggle to score, and you let up 3, and
yeah. But if the Devils gave up an average of 3 this season, they'd be on pace for 110 points.
Do the Devils play the Capitals any more this year?
I don't believe so. They play New York Islanders one more time. They play the Leafs 2 more times. They play Buffalo on Friday. It's tough. It's probably not going to happen. Too many injuries.
No.
Bad goaltending. But I'm not off my wagon about being excited.
I wouldn't say you're delusional, so I don't even know why you said that because I don't think you're delusional.
But I'm just more finish well, have a good summer. You'll have a top 15 pick then if you don't make the playoffs. Draft someone good. Heischer, Hughes, Bratt, Meyer, number 1 goal scorer in March.
Is he really?
Yeah, 14 goals in March.
To me, delusional is all right, I think the Penguins can make the playoffs. They still only got 71 games played, 9 points back. That's delusional.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited about the Devils, to be honest with you. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. They're going to finish strong. I believe that. as long as they finish strong and go into the summer feeling good about themselves, they'll hire a coach, they'll get another goaltender. Doug Hamilton will come back. That's another thing. He's missed the last 50 games. Last year he had 70 something points from the blue line, Frank. Those don't grow on trees from a defenseman.
Dude, injuries are killer, man.
They can be. They absolutely can be. Now, they were unrealistically healthy in 2022-23, and they were unrealistically unhealthy in 2023-24. So
I also I
go ahead.
think this is good for the Devils, though. I do. I think that like you're getting extra years under your core's belts. That's like really going to improve them. So when they make the postseason of that again, they could go on a deep run like this. I think this, like, obviously it's a disappointment compared to like their preseason predictions and where they were going to go. But I think in the long run, like in a few years, you could look back on it and be like, remember that year? Like they stunk, but they played really well too. It's kind of like what you say about the Blackhawks. You want them to stink, but you want the players to play well. That's kind of what's happening with the Devils, just on a little bit of a different level. I think in the long run, it benefits them more than it hurts them.
I honestly agree with you, Frank. Luke Hughes tied for second in rookie scoring.
Exactly.
Only Connor Bedard has more points as a rookie than Luke Hughes. And Luke
Exactly.
Hughes is a defenseman. If they have
That's what
another
I'm saying,
Quinn,
VP.
Nemitz, Simone Nemitz, he probably gets top 10 Calder Trophy votes. I
Yeah.
think Luke probably comes in third or fourth. Um, you
Luke
know,
could come in second, though. He could.
I think Brock
Brock
Faber's got
Faber is going to
second
be
locked.
tough
I think
to
Brock
beat,
Faber's got second locked.
but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I just if they have the same amount of points, Faber's a little better defensively, a little older too. I think Faber's got second locked, but third, I could see going either Luke Hughes. It's either going to be Luke Hughes or Kochetkov. The other will be fourth. Cooley will be in there. I definitely think Nemitz is top 10. Like I don't even think it's close. Nemitz is going to be top 10, and you got two guys like that on the Devils, and you get Hamilton back. I don't know. I'm excited for next year. I wish it was honestly this was a lost year, but it was a lost year that could lead to long term good. Like you
I
got
think
rid
it
of
will.
Graves, you got rid of Severson. You replaced them with two 19-year-olds. They're both 20 now. Um, they didn't have to train these guys how to become good NHLers while competing for the playoffs.
All right.
They're not going to make the playoffs, but they got that out of the way, and that's very important. Now it's basically Seamus Casey is the last like high end prospect that they have to um, develop, in the NHL. And Seamus Casey, he could sign his contract over the weekend.
He's been great in
I
college.
don't think he's going to play for the Devils this season. He's a tick behind where Luke Hughes was at this time last year, but he's still, very, very good. I would say he is their number one prospect now, if you don't include Nemitz or Hughes. Seamus Casey's for sure the guy. And Frank, we're going to get to watch Seamus Casey a little bit this weekend.
Yep.
We are going to be able to check out some of his games during the NCAA tournament, which we will talk about in period number one. Welcome to period one, Frank. # college hockey. Why
Yep.
do you want to play college hockey?
Why did I?
Isn't it obvious for the girls? There are a bunch of matchups. Have you not seen Miracle?
Nah, well, yeah, but
It's
it didn't come to my head.
it's
It,
the scene where they're in the bar. They're all working on the little test that Herb gets
like
them.
you could have told me that. I'm like, I don't even know where that's from
No, so the Boston University
because I've heard
guys,
of it, but it was
the
like,
Boston University guys, Aruzioni,
mhm,
O'Callahan, they all hated the Minnesota guys,
mhm.
McClanahan, and
It's starting to come back.
I think Ralph Cox went to. I forget where Ralph Cox went. He wasn't part of the rivalry,
Hmm.
and that's why like if Minnesota ended up playing BU in the second round, which is very possible. In fact, I may or may not have that. It would be like a recall to the Aruzioni,
Yeah,
McClanahan, O'Callahan days, because that is a possible matchup between Minnesota and BU. But O'Callahan was taking the test. He was all bitchy, mad, and he asked Coxie why he wants to play college hockey because they were talking about, the D-bags over from Minnesota. And then, to bring some comic relief, Ralph Cox goes, well, isn't it obvious for the girls?
it's
But
ringing a bell.
that scene is where # college hockey comes from.
Hmm.
Bucci does the hashtag and all
Hmm.
that. That comes
Yeah.
from that scene, the
Okay.
Boston accent of college hockey. Um, Frank, You want me to read through all of? No. First off, let's talk about how we got here.
Oh yeah,
We got here from conference championship weekend.
big weekend.
I've watched more college hockey than college basketball in the last week. I know that's crazy, but like it's just true.
Not really. It's not crazy.
North Dakota beat Miami to
Mhm.
make it to the final. Or no, that's the quarterfinal. Let me see here. Last Friday, North Dakota lost to Omaha in an upset. And Omaha went to the final to face Denver, who beat St. Cloud State in the NCHC final. Then you have the Hockey East final. Boston University beat Maine. Boston College beat UMass, Massachusetts. And then on Championship Saturday, the Big Ten Championship took place. The semis were a week prior. Michigan State reigned supreme over Michigan, who kind of pulled an upset. Great game. They pulled an upset over Minnesota earlier in the tournament. Michigan State was on top in the regular season, and they ended up on top in overtime in the championship game. Denver won the NCHC. A little shocking, North Dakota didn't even make it, but they struggled against Omaha this season. I think they could win the Natty if they don't run into Omaha. That's like their kryptonite for whatever reason. And Denver wins the whole thing. Cornell beat St. Lawrence in the ECAC championship. That gets them a bid. RIT beat AIC in the Atlantic championship. And then, of course, in the Hockey East championship, the Battle of Comm Avenue, Boston College beat Boston University by a final score of 6-4. Frank, from these championship games that took place, what sticks out to you?
I think the best game was Michigan State versus Michigan. Out of the 6 championship games. Great game. Went to OT. Now, it's great that these 6 teams made it, but at the end of the day, we got to remember there's a whole nother 10 teams that didn't get the automatic bid, which rely on the pairwise rankings, which feature the 10 at-large teams to round out the 16 teams in contention for the national championship. There's a lot of great hockey played. Obviously that Boston College, Boston University, a matchup we've seen a bunch this season, with Boston College coming out on top more times than not. Denver, honestly, the Denver win didn't really surprise me. RIT didn't surprise me because they're clearly the best team in that conference. But yeah, there's a lot of great hockey to be played. We get ready. The tournament starts tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun to keep track of. I'm gonna try and watch some of it, but I probably won't watch as much as I want to. But I'll definitely keep up with it. But yeah, it was a good weekend for championship hockey.
For sure. I want to snort college hockey. I'm a little obsessed, honestly. Like I'm pumped for tomorrow when it all gets going. And then of course there are games all day tomorrow and Friday for the semifinals. Or not the semifinals. I believe that's technically the quarterfinals. When you do the 16 seeds. Frank, why don't we just get right to it and go through each matchup?
Okay.
And predict what we think is going to happen. And then thus, because the second round will take place between now and our next show, we'll just pick who we think is going to make it to the Frozen Four, because that's what we'll know by the end of the weekend. And I'm super stoked about it. So obviously, one of the easier ones that I think is pretty chalk is the game between Boston College and Michigan Tech. Who do you think is going to win and why?
So Boston College is going to be the team that everybody is looking to take down in this tournament. Boston College's roster is the best overall from head to toe, and I don't think it's close. When you look at Boston College, you got Will Smith, who had 67 points in 37 games, Cutter Gauthier, 59 points in 37 games, Gabe Perreault, 57 points in 32 games, Ryan Leonard, 54 points in 37 games. There's just so much offense on this team. It's so offensively stacked, and because of the talent, there is no secret why they ended the year as the number one ranked team in all of college hockey. Now, Michigan Tech, in my opinion, is going to get smoked, okay? Jacob Fowler, he's had a nastily good year. He's got a .925 save percentage, a .219 goals against average. Like, honestly, I don't know how Michigan Tech is going to be able to score to keep up with Boston College's scoring, because there's just so much offensive talent. A team that has beaten Boston University 3 times this year. Who could argue is like the second favorite team in this tournament. I can't see Michigan Tech taking down a team of Boston College's nature. I don't see it happening.
Very fair, Frank, in your assessment. I agree. Boston College, in my opinion, is one of the greatest rosters I've ever seen in college hockey. I think if you took the freshman line, Will Smith, Cutter, or not Cutter, if you took Will Smith, Gabe Perreault, and Ryan Leonard, and you put them as a line on any NHL team, they would drive offense. It would
Mhm.
be like a good second line on any team in the NHL. There are some teams where it'd probably be a first line, Chicago, San Jose, looking at you. Yeah,
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. And they're all going to go to their respective teams probably next year. If any of them return to college, I wouldn't be too shocked. I think the world of Will Smith. When I think back of the draft last year, I'm like, he went fourth. I think there's a chance he's the fifth best player because Michkov is that good. But like, is he going to compete with Fantilli and Carlson for like the third best player in the draft? Like, I think it's possible. I really do, and I think the world Fantilli and Carlson, I think they're both going to be Hall of Famers. Like they've already shown me a lot in their rookie year. Both dealt with some injuries this season. That will slow down with muscle and smarts to avoid injury and whatnot. That does happen. But outside of injury, they've both proven to me they're stars in the NHL. Will Smith still has to prove he's a star in the NHL, but man, he might have earned himself the Hobie
He
with his
could have.
4-goal game in the championship of Hockey East. So Boston College, yeah, I think they're going to wreck Michigan Tech. If they don't win by 5 goals, I'd be a little surprised.
I think they're the biggest favorite of the first round too.
Yeah, 100%. And then the winner of that will play the winner of Wisconsin and Quinnipiac, a much tougher game to
Oh yeah.
predict the winner of. This one could go either way. I would be 0% surprised if either team won this game. Quinnipiac, the national defending champions of last year, got the big upset win over Michigan. Luke Hughes in Michigan last year in the championship game.
No, Minnesota, I thought. Wasn't it Minnesota?
It might have been Minnesota.
I think it was Minnesota.
It might have been Minnesota. Well, Michigan made the Frozen Four for sure.
Yeah,
I
it
remember
was
the
Michigan.
Devils
Yeah.
signed Luke Hughes, and then he scored the OT winner against the
Yeah, it was against
Capitals.
Minnesota in the championship.
That makes sense. Quinnipiac, though, they're damn good again.
Yeah.
They don't have any like this guy's guaranteed to be a star in the NHL. They got a couple players who will play in the NHL, but like they don't have a Fantilli or a Celebrini or anything
Mhm.
like that. They just play a good team game. And then Wisconsin, they have NHLers all over their lineup. A lot of highly drafted talent on Team Wisconsin. What do you got in this one?
This
Very
is gonna
interested to
be
see your pick.
a very interesting matchup here. You got the reigning national champions versus the team that finished second in the Big Ten. Now, when you take a look at both teams more deeply, you'll see that Wisconsin, no doubt, had the much tougher schedule. They played ranked teams 17 times this year. They went 10-6-1. A lot of their losses came against those ranked teams. Now, Quinnipiac, on the other hand, they didn't have to play as nearly as many ranked teams as Wisconsin did. Their schedule was a lot easier. In fact, it's been over 2 months since the last time Quinnipiac played a ranked team. It happened back in January when they played Cornell. So in this matchup, I think a lot of people are going to lean towards Wisconsin. I'm going Quinnipiac. I'm going to sign with the reigning national champions on this one. It's never an easy task to defeat a team that thrives come this time of year. Give me Quinnipiac.
On Wisconsin. Just kidding. I'm picking Quinnipiac.
100%. I think a lot of people are going to lean towards Wisconsin.
I
I
do
really do.
too. They probably have a better roster on paper.
They
I
do.
just like the way Quinnipiac plays.
Not only that, but they've had the tougher schedule. So it's like you've played tougher teams. You got those wins over the big teams. Quinnipiac has not.
They've not, so you think now's the time for them.
Now's the time. I think a lot of people are underestimating them. They won the national championship for a reason. Now their team looks a lot different than last year. I get it. That's not the same team, but this type of team thrives come March, end of March. Like I'm going with them. I'm sticking with them.
Yeah. No, I'm very, very fond of your pick. I agree with you. I'm taking Quinnipiac. I just think they find a way to get it done. They're like that clutch team.
Yep.
And
Just
they were in the Natty a couple years ago and lost. It's not like the last year was their first rodeo either. They've just been solid for a long time. I remember that time they made it and lost. Devin Taves was on the team. He was a New York Islanders prospect.
Yep.
And then they traded him to the Avalanche for 2 second-round picks. Talk about a fleece. Giving up 2 second-round picks for Devin Taves, who's probably a Team Canada guy at this point. Not probably. I think Devin Taves makes Team Canada next year and the year after. Basically, as long as Cale Makar wants him as his partner, Devin Taves makes Team Canada. I wholeheartedly believe that. It's like when Crosby wanted Kunitz. All right, so let's go into the bottom left region. Michigan State taking on Western Michigan. In football, Western Michigan is in the MAC. They play against my NIU Huskies all the time. Not so much in college hockey. They're a powerhouse at this point. They're taking on Michigan State, the best team from the Big Ten this season. Who do you got?
So Michigan State's coming off of a Big Ten title win.
Yep.
And if Michigan State were to lose this game, I think it'd be one of the biggest upsets that occur in the first round because, yeah, Michigan State doesn't have a ton of offense production, like some of the other teams we see in the tournament, but it was good enough to win the Big Ten title. I mean, their one strong suit that they could really help, that really may help them out in this game, is their defense and their goaltending. Like, I foresee a masterclass game from Trey Augustine and for the Spartans to show why they were the Big Ten champions. Like I said, they're kind of have a disadvantage when it comes to some of the other top teams in this tournament. But against Western Michigan, they play good defensively. Trey Augustine plays good goaltending. They should win this no problem. And if they don't, it's like it'd be almost as bad as not Boston. Like Boston College losing would be not like huge. Obviously, it wouldn't be as big as that. But I'd say it'd be just as big as like Boston University losing. Like that's shocking in honesty, something like that. No spoilers on who, but I'm just saying like it'd be a big upside. I just don't see it happening. Trey Augustine, I think, could get it done. They'll be fine.
I like Trey Augustine. I think he will eventually either be the backup or starter for the Red Wings. He'll at least get his shot. Yeah, I got Michigan State as well. And I really like Isaac Howard. Isaac Howard was the 31st overall pick in the 2022 NHL draft, the Tampa Bay Lightning. With the year they were the runner-up to the Colorado Avalanche. They took him with the second-to-last pick in the first round. And he was a dog for Team USA at the World Junior Championships. You can argue he was one of their 5 best forwards. And I know the freshman line was a line. They had Cutter Gauthier, who was sick. Team USA was just magnificent this year. But I like what Michigan State does. I do agree compared to some of the other top teams, they're a little more challenged offensively. If Isaac Howard isn't, going to town, some later in the show, I think that might hurt them a little bit. But against Western Michigan, I have Michigan State. Another very difficult pick, Frank. A lot of these are difficult. Nodak, North Dakota, my favorite team in college hockey besides the 2 Boston teams. It's where Zach Parise went, and Travis Zajac, and Jonathan Taves, TJ Oshie, Brock Besser. I mean,
very good school.
Basically, if you're an alum of North Dakota, you're one of my favorite players ever. I've always had that opinion. I've always cheered on the green, black, and white. Pumped to see him play against Michigan. Very good team is Michigan. They have Seamus Casey amongst a bunch of other guys. There's no more Owen Power. There's no more Kent Johnson. There's no more Luke Hughes, Fantilli. But they still have remnants of a really, really good team. It's not surprising they made the tournament. Who do you have in this matchup?
I think this is the hardest to predict of the entire tournament.
I agree.
Honestly. You got North Dakota, who won the NCHC title to guarantee their automatic bid here. And when you look at the roster of Michigan, it's hard to go against them. Like Frank Nazar, a fellow Blackhawks prospect, has been so much fun to watch on Michigan. Seamus Casey, Gavin Brindley. They've also been so amazing for Michigan, right? So
Gavin Brindley's so sick.
The chemistry we've seen from this team that we've watched, we've seen highlight reel goals like all over the internet that I've seen. And like just all these highlights from these great NHL prospects. It's like it's just unbelievable. And when you have such good chemistry like that, it can lead to so many good things. North Dakota, I think, has the goaltending edge, but the overall team edge and who I think is going to win, I'm going with Michigan. I think they get it done.
We have our first disagreement of the show. Let's go.
Wow.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
I'm taking my guys in North Dakota. They kind of
Wow.
coasted down the stretch. That last series of the regular season against Omaha, not good. Don't love that. But
I'm high on Michigan.
then you go into the championship or the tournament for the NCHC, and they kind of are slow there too, dudes. Against basically everyone other than Omaha this season, and University of Colorado, who did not make the tournament. Um, North Dakota's only lost one time in regulation to not those teams. They've just been so good all season long, and I'm not going to let one bad weekend deter me from thinking that they absolutely should be one of the top teams. I had them when I did my college hockey rankings. Most of the season was BC 1, BU 2, NODAC 3. Until that last week of the season, I bumped NODAC above BU in the second spot.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that highly of them at one point. If I were to do my rankings right now, I would put them fourth, but I still think they absolutely could win the whole damn thing, and I'm taking them to beat Michigan in this
Wow.
first round. Yeah.
I'm high on Michigan.
Michigan's good. I think North Dakota is better. This
Okay.
guy, the Canes prospect. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Hurricanes top prospects. Jackson Blake. This guy might be so the 10 nominees for the Hobie Baker. He's one of
Mhm.
them. They're gonna narrow it down to 3 on the fourth. It wouldn't shock me if he's one of them.
That
I
good, huh?
he's been that good for North Dakota. He probably will be an NHL player, and I'm pumped for him. I don't know if he's Brock Besser. I don't know if he's Zach Parisi or TJ Oshie, one of these guys who are you know high end players, but I do
Mhm.
think he will be a very good player in the NHL, and it probably won't take him too long to reach that pinnacle of very good player. So yeah, I got North Dakota coming out of
That's
this one.
fair.
Frank, top
Disagreement.
top right, Denver. Oh, but do we both disagree in a way like I could see the other being right? I will be stunned if Michigan loses.
It's a coin flip.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we're not this isn't one of those things where like I think you're on glue.
No, it's a coin flip.
Okay. Very interested on your thoughts on this one. Denver versus UMass. UMass had a real good showing this
They
year in the
did.
regular season, and they're coming in against Denver, who have been one of the top teams in the league all season long. Another team loaded with talent. Who do you got in Denver versus UMass?
Denver comes into this tournament winning the NCHC tournament. Jack Devine, or is it Devine? I assume it's Devine. He's been great for Denver. He has 27 goals in 40 games played this season. Comes into the tournament hot, which is what you love to see. The team comes into the tournament hot. I like everything about this Denver team is cooking with fish grease right now. They've won 11 out of their last 12 games. Absolutely sizzling. UMass, on the other hand, they've been good. They lack a bit of offense. Their leading goal scorer, Adar Suniev, only led the team with 12 goals. Yeah, I mean, you could just see they're offensively challenged when your team leader is 12 goals. They got here, good for them, but I just think Denver's the overall team. Got hot at the right time at the moment. I think Denver gets it done with ease. That's what I'm going to go with.
I'm with you. I think Denver's going to get it done. Um, Yeah, there's not much more to say other than what you said. Like I just think you nailed it. I think Denver's going to find a way to come in. UMass will play them tough. It wouldn't shock me if it's a tough first period for both teams. But I think by the time the game is over, Denver's win in the NCHC championship really kind of you know put a bow
Oh,
on
yeah.
what I think as one of the elite teams in college hockey this
Denver's
season.
so good.
Yeah,
They're so good.
100%. The NCHC was probably the second best conference this year. Sometimes it's the Big Ten. I think Hockey East lately has been the best, but this season I think it certainly is the best. Right now, I would put NCHC second best. But also wouldn't surprise me if some of these guys start to leave BU and BC and the NCAC gets back to being the best.
Hmm.
Because I think that highly of it. Denver's a big part of it. I think they get it done over UMass. Maine versus Cornell in the top right region's second game. Who do you got in that one?
This game has the making of an absolute treat, VP. This is Maine's first NCAA tournament appearance since 2012. It's been 12 years. I think their recent lack of experience may hurt them here, despite them coming into this game as a favorite. Both teams have impressive wins this season on their resume, right? Ultimately, the reason why both teams are here. Maine beat Boston College early on in the year. That's a huge win. You got a win over Boston College. Huge. They've even secured wins over reigning champs Quinnipiac this season. Huge, VP. Cornell, on the other hand, has had a win over Boston University, which is also very hard to come by. Ian Shane's been great for Cornell. I think he comes up big in this game. Where the goaltending, I think, is the real stars of the show here. Either a treat really could go either way. I think we have another coin flip here. Maine's going to be the favorite coming in. I'm taking Cornell.
Interesting. You took Cornell. We have our second disagreement. I picked Maine. Maine had a good showing in Hockey East play this season. You brought up some of the big wins that they've had this season. They're not a bean pot, but they for the most part have been very impressive. And I have a feeling they're going to get it done and get a chance to play Denver in the second round. They're going to take it to Cornell, maybe, because I don't think Cornell. It's a coin flip for me too. But I picked Maine to prevail in the end.
Second disagreement. Probably
I
our final disagreement.
I don't know. I don't know.
No
Um,
shot.
I don't know. I'd be shocked if you agree with me on the last one.
Really?
Yeah. This
Wow.
this one though, I mean, this is chalk. RIT, more like RIP. They're playing against Boston University. You got Macklin Celebrini. You got Lane Hudson. The second best team in Hockey East, the second best team in college hockey for the most part all season long. Celebrini will be the number one overall pick to whichever team wins the lottery this spring. Lane Hudson's going to go play for the Montreal Canadiens probably right at the conclusion of this tournament. They're not going to make the playoffs, but it wouldn't shock me if he gets in their last game or two, depending on where BU finishes. But yeah, I would ask you what I think you're going to say, but you're picking Boston University to beat RIT.
Well, yeah, RIT and the Atlantic Hockey Conference. First of all, it isn't a powerhouse conference as it is. There's not a lot of great teams in there. And honestly, if it wasn't for the automatic bid, you could argue RIT may not have made the tournament, figuring they're the only team to make it out of that conference anyway. Like Boston University comes into this tournament as huge contenders to win the national championship as well, along with Boston College. A team that has Macklin Celebrini and Lane Hudson is not going to bow out of the biggest hockey tournament in the first round. So I got Boston University beating RIT and completely stopping any Cinderella story RIT was trying to write. Like, it's just not going to happen.
100%. Minnesota versus Omaha. Obviously, you got your boy Jimmy Snuggerud in the game for Minnesota, but amongst a couple other people, Oliver Moore, just absolute star. Going up against Omaha. Omaha. So, who do you
Yeah.
think's going to win between Minnesota and Omaha?
Minnesota's trying to get back to the national championship despite just coming up a tad short losing to Quinnipiac in the finals last year. The team Minnesota is bringing to this tournament this year is going to be massively different. They lost 8 players from last year's team. They have 13 players on the team that have been drafted to the NHL. Jimmy Snuggerud, Oliver Moore, Rhett Pitlick. These are names we talk about a lot on this podcast and names that are going to be a huge factor in the NHL one day. This team is just too stacked compared to a much less talented Omaha team, in my opinion. That doesn't mean Omaha can't upset Minnesota. I just don't see it happening given all the NHL talent on this Minnesota team. So I'm going to go with Minnesota.
Yep, I was right.
You went with Omaha.
I went with Omaha, and I will tell you why.
Oh, no.
There's always one big upset. I think I picked mostly the team that's going to be the favorite. You picked Cornell, so I think you got your upset pick in there.
Michigan too. I think Michigan's a dog.
Oh, they
But
probably are a dog. They're a dog,
yeah,
but
but it's
it's a
like
different kind of dog. It's a grand a Labrador type of dog.
yeah,
It's not no poodle or anything like that's a German Shepherd
yeah.
kind of dog. Yeah, I think Omaha gets it done. I don't really know why. I don't have like this great answer. I know Minnesota is more talented. I know they're sending more players to the NHL. I know they're a more of a blue blood. Actually, I would say if you had to name like a Mount Rushmore of college hockey blue bloods, Minnesota would probably make the list. I honestly think it's probably BU, BC, Minnesota, and North Dakota as the top programs of all time. Michigan's close, Denver's close. Quinnipiac's not close. I don't know why I even brought them up. But when you think of the blue bloods in like football, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State,
Clemson. You
I'm
don't think
talking
they're
like
blue?
no, because Clemson's rise has been recent. I'm talking teams that have been like they were there. Notre Dame is a blue blood
Yeah.
in college football. Like the team
Okay.
that doesn't necessarily mean good. Like in college basketball, it's Indiana, Purdue, Kansas, Kentucky, Gonzaga. Those are the blue
Virginia,
bloods. Virginia, Arizona. That's probably just about where the list. But there are other
Gonzaga.
really good teams. I said Gonzaga.
Oh yeah.
There are some other really good teams that have risen over the years. That you consider good every year now. Alabama.
Yep.
Teams like that who are the top 4 seeds every year, but they're not blue bloods.
Right.
Minnesota's a blue blood in college hockey. And I just think they go down to Omaha. I like what I've seen from them in the NCHC second half of the season, especially that last series against North Dakota and their run to the championship game where they lost to Denver. I think they're hot at the right time to at least win a game.
I like the
So,
upset. I
yeah.
love when somebody picks an upset. So props to you on that one.
I went to collegehockeynews.com, the famous college hockey website. It's endorsed by Bucci, and I made a bracket.
I thought we were gonna do something about that.
I tried to find like a league. I'm still working on it. If I find one by tomorrow, I will. But this one, you could go in and just compete against all the other people who do it through that site. And first, second, third place get Bucci Overtime Challenge merch. So, I'd love to get a free college hockey hat or something like that. My bracket's probably going to suck, as everyone's bracket usually does every year in every sport. But I'm excited about this, dude. This is my favorite time of year.
Wow, that sounds interesting. Actually, a lot of fun. Maybe I'll do it.
I'll send you the link. I want to get a boot or a college hockey hat in Boston University colors, Boston College colors, and North Dakota colors.
And you could buy them, right? You just
they have them in every
just from winning.
No, you could buy them. There's a website. I have a black and white one, but I've worn it to the gym. It's old.
Right.
I want new ones that I can wear when I'm watching that team. They have them for every color, every color scheme in college hockey. I think my Boston College one, I can double use it as a Wisconsin one when I go to Wisconsin games, because BU and Wisconsin have the exact same color scheme,
right.
red and white. So it'll be my double. I'll use it for both for sure. Because I go to Wisconsin games, but I love BU, so need that hat. That's probably going to be the first one I get.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm excited for college hockey. All right, Frank, let's pick our Frozen Four. Of those teams that you think are going to win, you have to look at the region to know which ones have a chance. Which of the 4 are going to make up the Frozen Four?
You might be, I don't know, you're not going to be shocked. You might be really shocked about one of my picks. But I'm going to go with Boston College first. That's the chalk of the chalk. Best overall team. One of the best college hockey teams, like you said, that we've seen of recent memory, maybe of all time. So I really think they're going to get it done. Second, Boston University. I mean, it's just the storyline here for Macklin Celebrini. Like, could you imagine if they get to the national championship and play each other? Like, I could see that potentially happening again. I'm not saying it's gonna, but like, they'd be like the 5th time they played each other this year. It's just storyline, poetics, #1 draft pick. I see Boston University. Oh my God, I said it again. Boston University making a run again and just getting there. I don't know. Denver's my 3rd team. I love their path to the Frozen Four. Like, that's the only reason why I'm choosing Denver. Looking at their region, I think they're the best in that region. I think they get it done. Plain as can be. That's just the way I see it. And this last one, VP, this last one might surprise you.
I know what you're
Michigan
gonna say.
Michigan gets to the Final Four, the Frozen Four. A lot of skilled NHL talent on this team. And if everything lines up correctly, we'll have a Michigan State Michigan rematch in the final 8, where Michigan gets the revenge, makes it to the Frozen Four. How you doing? Those are my Frozen Four picks.
Frank. I like it. I very much like it. I knew you were going to pick Michigan because I'm looking at the rest. Like, would you like? I think Michigan or North Dakota would beat Michigan State in the Elite Eight.
I think they get the revenge if Michigan State wins like we predict. I think they get the revenge.
Yeah, I would too, but I picked North Dakota to beat
Right,
them.
right.
I think North Dakota can beat Michigan State. I also think Michigan State could beat North Dakota, but I would pick North Dakota. So from that region, I am picking North Dakota. I think
Wow.
North Dakota gets to the Frozen Four.
Fair.
Michigan making it would be the third year in a row. I
Really?
believe it would be the third year in a row.
They're
And
a good
then
team in freaking March.
yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Frank? We have the same the rest of the way. I have Boston College, Denver, and Boston University. Denver, yeah, they have a nice path, but I think I'd be picking them in a lot of ways. Like they're that good. I think they're one of the 5 best teams in the country, and they deserve to be seated where they are, and they deserve, that path to the Frozen Four in St. Paul, Minnesota. The XL Energy Center is the home of your Frozen Four. Remember when it was at the United Center?
Yeah, I do.
Me
You
and
never
Joey,
went. I didn't go. Did you?
me and Joey were poor boys, and we had to choose between the NHL draft and
That was that year,
the
wasn't it?
Frozen Four. Yeah, we chose the NHL draft.
Well, the
So
draft is cool to go to as well. So
it
it's
was a no-brainer at the end of the day. But if when it comes back to the United Center, your boy will be there. Thursday and Saturday. Like it's a must. And that's when I really started getting into college. Like I was into it in the Eichel Hannafin year too. But I mean, damn, what fun this has been. Love college hockey. Everyone
college
needs to be
hockey.
watching.
I'm fully, my brain's fully dove into March Madness right now. So it's going to be hard, because tomorrow starts the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 over the weekend. So it's like, but I'm excited for it. I'm gonna try and watch it more than I ever have, especially now that I got my predictions in. Maybe I'll fill out a bracket for Bucci's little challenge he's got going on. Maybe I'll dive in and keep track of it a little bit more.
I'll send you the link because I really want you to. It's fun. It's good stuff. All right, Frank. Now we talked about college hockey. Let's move on over to the NHL in period number 2. All right, Frank. I don't like to get mean. Not a mean guy. You think I am?
No,
Do you though? Do you think I have shades of like a mean person?
You could get feisty.
I could get feisty when I need to be.
Same as mean.
Like, do you think I'm a mean-spirited person?
No,
I don't either.
but I think everybody has a gene in them to make them mean when they need to be, or you're just like under pressure. Everybody's got that.
100%, 100%. But like, I hold doors for people. I say please, thank you, no matter.
Yeah,
I am far from mean. I could get you. I kind of like being feisty. When people say something stupid, I like calling them out. But like, I don't think I have a mean bone in my body. I think there's a difference between mean and
fair.
Real. Sometimes I don't know. This complete freaking moron, Andrew Berkshire.
Oh, I saw the video.
He's been annoying me on Twitter for the last decade. He's a Habs guy, but he works with a guy I actually really like. They're polar opposites. They used to be buddy with him on the Steve Dangle podcast.
Really?
Steve's the Leafs guy. Berkshire's the Habs guy.
Oh God, he's a Habs fan.
Yeah, he's
that's
a Habs
right. His
fan.
picture is a Montreal jersey or somebody.
Yeah, I think it's him as a kid in a Montreal jersey. And I remember on the Steve Dangle podcast, he went on as a guest after the Habs traded PK Subban to the Nashville Predators for Shea Weber. and he said he's done. He's like, I'm not a fan anymore. And he was like serious. Like, dude,
He's
shut
a dork.
up. Well, now, a couple days ago, our buddy Zach Hyman scored the 50th goal of his season. The first time he reached the 50 goal plateau in his career. He's 31 years old. Listen, the guy's really a good line mate for Connor McDavid. I love when people blame Connor McDavid for Zach Hyman's success. Does it help? Absolutely. Any other line mate score 50 with McDavid? McDavid new? Is he new in the league? No, he's been around a while, right? McDavid? I think 2015 NHL draft. So this is his ninth season? 9 seasons. Oh, he's never had a line mate reach 50 goals? No. Draisaitl. Oh, no shit. Draisaitl plays second line center? Oh, they're only together. Oh, they're only together on the power play. Well, he must score like 40 power play. No? Only like 20? Oh. You're a moron if you think the only reason Zach Hyman's good is because of Connor McDavid. Does the goals help? Yes. But only certain guys are good enough to keep up with a Connor McDavid. Zach Hyman's one of them. Goes on Twitter and talks about not only has Zach Hyman been blessed with his line mates, he grew up rich. And because he grew up rich, that made him a really good hockey player. Frank, you know any rich people? Like super rich?
Not super, super rich, but fairly. There's some people.
I know a couple pretty rich people. Got a doctor in the family.
Right.
Some people that have made wealthy careers in the freight management department in our family. Some pretty wealthy people. Any other kids make the NHL? I actually know one kid who made it to the NHL. I went to high school with Vinny Hinestroza, had math with him. He sat, where those red banners are behind you, about that much of the distance between me and Vinny in class. I don't know. Did Vinny and I go to the same high school? Were we in the same classes?
He probably wasn't rich.
Probably similar demographics if you're going to the same high school together. Maybe not identical.
Right.
Maybe his parents were a tad bit wealthier, but like he lived in Bartlett, same as me. He made it to the NHL. I didn't. Why? Because he's good. He put in the work and he got it done. He was a 7th round pick. It's not even like he was this highly touted he went to Notre Dame. Good hockey program. But in order to make it to play college hockey is very rare and you have to be sick.
Yep.
To go on there and spew the bullshit that this guy said about Zach Hyman and his family really pissed me off. It just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, how dare you discredit Zach Hyman's accomplishments just because his family was wealthy? So many other players in the league are also of wealthy. Well, how come you don't attack them? How come no other wealthy kids are able to score 50 with McDavid? It's just nasty. Do we shit on the Kachucks? Their dad was a literal NHL player. They couldn't have grown up richer if they tried. No, we think the world of Matthew and Brady because they're actually good at hockey. How many other dads produced NHL players? Only a handful. Why isn't Joe Sakic's kid in the NHL? Why isn't Chris Chelios' kid good enough for the show? I think he played in the AHL. Why didn't he ever make it to the NHL? Oh, but his daddy was filthy rich. He should have made it, according to Berkshire. What's your takeaway from this complete moron?
The video was stupid. Everything he said in the video couldn't be more wrong. You don't become a 50 goal scorer in the NHL because you grew up rich. That's not how things work here. You become an NHL caliber player that could score 50 goals based off of the skill you were born with. I think a lot of this is like you're just given that natural gift. Like, yeah, all the extra stuff you have growing up helps you. You can go to the rink and skate, and that helps your natural gift that you're given, but it's not because he's rich. And like not everyone is born with a skill like Zach Hyman or Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews, or just you have to have that natural born skill, right? And that's being good at hockey. You just can't say it's because he grew up financially secure. If I grew up a millionaire, I probably wouldn't have made it to the NHL because I don't have that gift, right? Like you just don't. You don't learn that. It's given to you at birth. Now, is his production up because he plays on the great Oilers team? Yeah, absolutely. Like when you play with the best players, your production's going to be up naturally. That's for any player. That like I wholeheartedly believe. Like obviously, if David Pastrnak went to the freaking Oilers and played with McDavid, yeah, he might have 70 goals. Right? It's just the nature of it. Hyman's first year at the Oilers, he had 27 goals. Second year at the Oilers,
which is a lot.
right? That's a lot. And second year with the Oilers, 36 goals. This year, 51 goals, right? It's gotten better. You learn the chemistry you have, but it's not just because of being rich and playing with McDavid. Like, do I think he would have had 51 goals on a different team? No, I do not. I got to be like, I don't think if he was with the Sharks, he's not a 50 goal scorer. If he's with the Flames, he's not a 50 goal scorer. But if he goes to like the Bruins, I think he could be a 50 goal scorer. If he goes to the Avalanche, he could be a 50 goal scorer. It's not solely because he's playing with McDavid or that he was rich, right? But like production does increase when you play with these types of guys. It's not discrediting him at all. It's just you play on a good team. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like you don't downplay what he's done, right? You can't throw any Joe Schmo on the Oilers and expect them to score 50 goals. You can't throw Lucas Reichel on the Oilers and play with McDavid for 3 years and he's going to be a 50 goal scorer in 3 years. It's not going to happen. Does he score 25, 30? Maybe. We're not going to get 50 or 51. Like that's just not how it works. You have to be talented enough of a player to reach that mark. And then yeah, playing with McDavid and Draisaitl, that's all gravy. That's fine. You know what I mean? It's like people who have this type of take are just stupid. They're just trying to make waves on social media to get the attention, I think, because I know Bobby Ryan responded to him, kind of shitting on him, and he's like basically doesn't care. I don't know a lot about Andrew Berkshire. To me, he's kind of a dork from what I'm learning about. Just because his take, I'm like that. It couldn't be more false. Like to me, his take means he knows nothing about sports, not only about hockey, but nothing about sports in general. Because every good athlete was born that way. You have to be physically gifted. It doesn't matter. Do you know how many athletes out there who were poor, who like they had a like they lived out of their car or whatever, they grew up in a poor house, but then they became so good at basketball and they got to give back to their families. Like there are more out there than you think that are like that. So he could not be more wrong. He's an idiot.
Yeah, complete moron. Um, I look at Hyman's production in his career. Last night, oddly enough, the night that this happened, he scores
Yeah.
the overtime game-winning goal against the Winnipeg Jets. Berkshire got destroyed on Twitter, of course, obviously following that. There was also the 200th goal of his NHL career. There have been a lot of years, Frank, in his career where he has more assists than goals. Last year in particular, he had 36 goals and 47 assists, which
Yep.
being basically a 50 assist man is awesome. It means you're driving play. It means, McDavid scored 60 last year, so that probably played a big hand of it. This year, Hyman's doing the scoring, but he only has 19 assists. Sometimes players in the league have a particular set of skills. Hyman is very good at going to the front of the net and banking in goals that are created for him. The goal he scored in overtime yesterday wasn't even assisted by Connor McDavid. It was a nice play made by Ryan Nugent Hopkins to set him up in overtime. So Hyman could play everywhere. He could kill penalties. He's good on the power play, front of the net, has a good shot. 50 goals, just complete clown show to say some of the things that Berkshire said in terms of the way he was raised, leading him to, being the 50 goal man. Are there advantages to your parents having money? Of course. But like lots of kids have those advantages. He went to college and played at Michigan. He played in the bracket we just broke down however many years ago now. I honestly think Berkshire is a clown, and I will never respect any of his hockey opinions ever again.
I mean, he just doesn't know anything about sports. It's not even about hockey, to be honest with you. But
No, and he talks in like a condescending tone too, where like he's right and you're an idiot, and it really pisses me off. Like when
yeah,
I have sports dialogue with people, let me tell you something. Most of the time when people talk to me about sports, they have no clue what they're talking about, and I just kind of nod and go, "Hey, yeah, yeah, I agree," and I don't agree, most of the time. But I don't like being that guy that corrects people and stuff like that. this and I certainly, when I do talk about sports, like I call you an idiot for your Ovechkin, but we're like on a podcast, like we're yelling at each other, like that's part of the bit. Um, you know, I don't actually discredit anyone in their right to have their opinion. This guy thinks you're a moron if you disagree with him, and I hate him. Speaking of rich people scoring 50 goals, don't Google who Sam Reinhart's dad is. He scored 50 goals as well over the weekend. And like Hyman, already has his 51st. What a season for Sam Reinhart, too.
He's a huge part of this Florida Panthers team. One of the biggest keys to success, honestly, all season. Like Reinhardt was great with Buffalo, but it just shows you what happens when a great player joins an even more skilled team. Like what kind of potential it unlocks. And I cannot wait to see what Reinhardt brings to the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's been so good. Oh my God. He's in for goal of the year. That goal we constantly bring up. Like he's just so good. Silky smooth. I'm a big fan of him. I told you if I bought a jersey from the Panthers, it'd probably be Reinhardt.
Gotta wait till he extends.
Well, yeah, I'm not doing it now. I'm just saying if I were to, it would be Reinhardt.
He could go to another team this summer. He picked a perfect time to have a career year like this. He's going to get paid for this season.
Coming to the Hawks.
I mean, they're going to try. I would assume.
Could you?
I would assume they try. If I were him, I'd go. If I were him, I'd go back to Florida.
Throw an offer out there. See what.
Yeah,
happens.
if you were him, would you go back to Florida?
Yeah,
I would too. Putting aside all your hockey biases and like just purely
100%.
Where can I win the Stanley Cup? Where can I score 50 again?
Good team, nice weather.
Yeah,
chilling. You don't have to get up and move.
Oh my God! Imagine living in Sunrise.
Gonna get paid a lot.
Yeah. I think he's probably this season's best special teamer.
Oh,
he leads the NHL in power play goals and shorthanded goals. A little bit different. Little bit different than what you got cooking with Hyman and his ability to go to the front of the net and win board battles down low, and that leading to 50 goals. Sam Reinhart, power play specialist, shorthanded specialist, and he helps drive offense on 5-on-5 on the top line with Barkov and Verhaeghe too. So good for Sam Reinhart, man. You picked a real good year to get it done too.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue Sam Reinhart's more important than Matthew Tkachuk to this team. I still think they're successful. If Reinhart wasn't there with Matthew Tkachuk, obviously they'd still be a contender. But what Reinhart does, he drives offense, I think, better than Matthew Tkachuk. I really do.
I don't.
Maybe it's just bias for me, but like I don't know. There's something about Reinhart.
It's the power play goals that make me disagree. Like he's got 27 power play goals. Driving offense, I think a 5-on-5 driving play, that is Matthew Tkachuk to a T. Him and Barkov are the two best at that at 5-on-5. But Reinhart, it's a particular set of skills. It's like what we talked about. You can argue Reinhart is better at what he does, if that's what you want to argue. But when I think of driving offense, like Tkachuk,
I get it.
Reinhart's like there with Verhaeghe, like just these awesome goal scorers. I don't think they're a President's Trophy Stanley Cup contender without all of the pieces, though. Tkachuk is like if Pasternak was mean, right? Or Brad Marchand 4 years ago. Like that's what Tkachuk is. Barkov is like Taves, or Kopitar, or Adaya Bergeron. Like that's what that guy's like. Verhaeghe. He kind of reminds me. I think if Patrick Sharp played today, he'd score 40. So I see similarities between those two. Just a sick shot, good goal scorer, clutch as all hell. But Sam Reinhart, he is a big piece of what Florida does for sure.
100%.
Frank, I like it. I love it. I want some more of it.
Okay.
I try so hard. Hey, you suck.
I hate the Predators.
The Nashville Predators are on the power play. 16-0-2 in their last 18 games since having the U2 concert at the Sphere in Vegas canceled right in their face. They have not lost in regulation. One of the best teams in the Western Conference right now, and there's no arguing against it, no matter how much you hate them.
They're the hottest team in the NHL right now, obviously. 4 points behind the Jets for a division spot. Clearly the hottest team in the NHL right now. And I can't stress how important it is to get hot right at the end of March and at the beginning of April, right? Teams that go cold around this time usually doesn't bode well come playoff time. However, the teams that are hot, like the Predators, oh God, they usually pull rabbits out of the hat come playoff time. This team reminds me of the St. Louis Blues when they went from dead last in the league in 2019 to having a great run in the second half of the season, and they went on to win the cup. We got to start taking this team seriously and actually thinking about calling them contenders to win the Stanley Cup.
In order to win the Stanley Cup, in my opinion, this is one man's opinion, you need a top-line center. Do the Predators have that?
Yes.
Ryan O'Reilly. You need a number one defenseman.
They got it.
Do the Predators have it?
Yep.
Roman Josi scored the OTGWG in their comeback win yesterday. You need an elite goaltender. Do the Predators have that?
They do. He's been a little washy the first half of the season. Way better the second half of the season.
Yes, but Saros top 5, top 6
you
goalie in the NHL.
Him, yeah.
Nashville is for real.
I could see him beating any team in the West, honestly.
Me too. Would I put my money on them to win the Stanley Cup? Probably not. I still like Dallas. I still like Colorado. The Nashville Predators could win the Stanley Cup, and I would be 0% surprised. And
They're probably big dogs,
I can't believe I'm saying this. It honestly doesn't even feel real. Like when they first traded for Subban and they had Johansson, that team that made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final that lost to the Penguins when they had Carrie Underwood's husband, Mike Fisher. Sissons was on like their fourth line. Like they were just so good. They are just as good now, and the Devils really tweaked letting Andrew Brunette get away. That guy could be coach of the year, to be honest with you.
He can. He really can.
I love what the Predators are doing. If they win the Stanley Cup, I'd be 0%.
Would that be the second time Brunette won?
Brunette won as a player for sure.
No, coach of the year.
Oh yeah, I think he did. Did he win
the year they won the President's Trophy? I thought he won, right?
When the Panthers fired Quenneville and then he came in,
which
it makes me happy that the Devils aren't the only team that tweaked. Florida tweaked too, but they're probably pretty happy with Paul Maurice.
Yeah.
So but oh man, the Predators, they got rid of some guys who have been known to hurt locker rooms. I don't know if I like saying that, but like everywhere Ryan Johansson goes, the culture there seems to turn to shit. The Colorado Avalanche couldn't get rid of him fast enough this year, and Nashville got rid of him. All of a sudden, they're back. He don't want to play for Torts in Philly, like he hasn't even played for them at all. It's crazy though. You add O'Reilly's a Stanley Cup champion, one of the best players the NHL has had, one of the top 10 centers, Selke-wise, the NHL has had it for a very long time. Won the Stanley Cup with the Blues. Just an absolute stud muffin. The Predators, man, they are damn good.
They really could be cup contenders.
They are. And we move on to a team that's not necessarily cup contenders, but the Desert Dogs, the Arizona Coyotes, one of my favorite teams in the NHL, just because I want them to stay in Arizona. They need to stay in Arizona, and last night could not have proved it to me more. They were at the Mullet, and you remember Shane Doan? We've all watched Shane Doan play. Shane Doan, actually, you still think the Hawks are going to win that series over the Arizona Coyotes in 2012?
They gave up so many late period goals in that series.
Yeah, they scored a lot of late period goals too.
And it was just unbelievable.
Seabrook couldn't stop scoring clutch goals in that series. He almost willed the Hawks to a series victory on its own. That Yotes team ended up going to the conference finals and losing to the LA, and we will talk about what LA did one series later. But man, the Yotes. Donor's in the building with his wife, and his son makes his NHL debut. Donor wore 19. Now his son, Josh Doan, flipped the numbers, and he's number 91, and he made his NHL debut for the Arizona Coyotes, and he scored twice. Not
Crazy.
once, but twice. Donor's kid scored. Frank, talk to me about Josh Doan and his NHL debut.
I watched Coyotes legend Shane Doan. The Shane Doan that's all-time leading scorer, long-time captain, play hockey for nearly a decade. I watched him play. And now we're coming to a point where we're seeing guys we watch play hockey have their kids make their NHL debut. Like, that's just crazy to me because it feels like Shane Doan just played last week. Like, I just watched him last week. Like, on top of all this, Josh Doan plays for his father's team where he spent 20 plus years. His father's team. And he scores 2 goals in his NHL debut. With that, Josh Doan became the first player in Arizona franchise history to score multiple goals in their first career game, which I thought was really cool as well. It was a cool moment to watch, and it was cool for the fans, the longtime Arizona Coyote fans as well, which I think that's what you're alluding to, saying like even last night was another reason for them to stay in Arizona. Like the fans were loving it. Very cool moment. Very cool moment. Once again, I say it a lot. Poetry, VP. Poetic. Doesn't happen with everybody, but this was poetry. And I think more so because there's so much news and drama surrounding the organization staying, leaving Arizona, whatnot. I think this storyline meant more and had more weight to it than others.
Absolutely. And when I saw Doan score that first goal and the mullet exploded, I'm like, the Yotes need to stay in Arizona. I am all about them staying in Arizona. I love expansion. I don't like relocation. That's a good way to make a great sports town hate hockey, and that is not what I want to see. Like I look at the disdain that St. Louis has for football, and I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to be. I love football. I don't want the great people of St. Louis to not have football. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Love or hate St. Louis as a Chicago, like you want them to have sports. I want everyone to have sports. So do not take Arizona away. I don't want to see Shane Doan's kid, Josh Doan, wear another NHL jersey other than the Arizona Coyotes. Now, if he like later career change leads to that, like he's traded, like that's a different story. But for now, I want to see him play for the Desert Dogs, one of the prettiest jerseys in the NHL, the Kachina. I loved seeing that last night. Good for Doan.
Do you like coyotes as an animal?
I mean, I don't give a shit.
Did you know that coyotes will purposely play with dogs and steal their toys to lure them away from the property so the coyote pack could eat them?
I mean, if only the
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes
if
sense.
only the Arizona Coyotes were as good at eating their prey as real coyotes, then we'd be talking. Then we'd really be talking.
See, by G, we hear the coyotes in the back all
Ho,
the
ho,
time. We do, and then we hear the baby
ho!
ones. Like, I like coyotes. Obviously, they're not good for pets. They usually do a lot of damage to people's pets. But as a whole, I I like the coyote a lot actually, and I like that after they score, they do the howl. I do like that.
Ow, ow,
Yeah, I like
ow!
that a lot.
Love that, Frank. Let's talk about a different kind of dog. Talking about the Nate Dog and the Colorado Avalanche. This brother's got a point in every home game. What the hell is
Crazy.
going on? What the hell is going on?
He's got 123 points, tied with Nikita
Jeebus.
Kucherov for the league. This Colorado team, they look awfully dangerous, VP. Like I said last week, eerily similar to their Stanley Cup winning team. And what makes them even more dangerous, in my opinion, is that this team already has the experience of winning a cup, and they're this dangerous. I'd not be surprised if they end up winning the cup again this year, especially with the way Nathan MacKinnon has been playing, he's got a point in 18 straight games, a point in all 34 home games so far this year. He's 7 home games away from being the first player in NHL history to have a point in all 41 home games in a season, mainly because when Gretzky played, there were only 80 games and he played 40 at home and 40 on the road. So Gretzky holds the record. Nathan MacKinnon could be the only player to do it in 41 home games. Gretzky holds that record, but I would not be surprised if he doesn't hold that record for much longer. Nathan MacKinnon has been unbelievable this year, and wow. There's not enough good things to say about this man.
Being the only player to score 60 goals earns you a Hart Trophy. Becoming the 4th player ever to have 100 assists could earn you a Hart Trophy. And having a point in every single home game could earn you a Hart Trophy. And then another guy might be the leading scorer in the league, Nikita Kucherov. He would deserve. There are 4 actual compelling arguments for the Hart Trophy this season. I don't know who the hell's going to get it. And I'll hear an argument for whoever you think, because I'm sure you have an opinion. But none of them deserve it over the other.
I think it's going to be MacKinnon.
I would vote for MacKinnon, but you know what my tiebreaker is? Kucherov, Matthews, and McDavid all have one. That's my tiebreaker.
So you think it's going to be him because of that?
The Nate Dogg needs an MVP. He's good enough for one. I don't know, dude. I would like to see him get it, but I mean, he's sweet. He's just magnificent. I also hope he hangs on. You got this far, getting a point in every home game. Like, I am worried that one of these home games, it is going to be tough. It's not guaranteed.
It's not easy.
No, not at all. I think one of them, like, he just recently got it on an OT goal.
That's crazy.
Like, it's not guaranteed at all having a point in any specific game. Frank, Pastrnak and Panarin, they're not going to win it. They're gonna be on the ballot though. They'll be in the top 5 and the top 3 of a lot of people's ballot. They both reached 100 points yesterday. A lot of carbs between Pasta and the bread man.
Yeah.
I did think it was funny that the 2 guys associated with a carb hit 100 points on the same night.
Yeah.
Thoughts on these 2?
There's 4th and 5th players to reach the 100-point mark this season. That list's going to continue to grow over the final stretch of the regular season, right? 2nd consecutive season, Pasta has eclipsed the 100-point mark. Good for him. First time Panarin's done so in his career. The Bruins, I think you jinxed the Bruins in a good way. The Bruins have slowly become one of the sneakiest teams in the NHL since you and Joey both called them frauds. I never jumped on that bandwagon. I said they're not frauds. The Rangers, on the other hand, they're a favorite to win the President's Trophy, and anything can happen this postseason, and it'll be interesting to see what these guys bring to the postseason, obviously. But I think these guys are so important to their team that if either of these guys go cold, it could spell the end for whoever went cold for their team. Honestly, like I'll get to the Rangers in a second here when we talk about them a little bit more, but it's like the Bruins don't rely on Pasta as much as the Rangers rely on Panarin. That's what I'll say.
I understand that. Both guys are sick, right? They're both high volume wingers. They're both wingers that drive offense, which, a lot of the times wingers are like a Hyman or a Reinhart who, they go to the front of the net, they score goals, they're power play specialists. Pastrnak and Panarin play like centers, and they're damn good at it. Artemi Panarin drives New York Rangers offense like no Ranger has in a long time. I think there's an argument to be made that Panarin is one of the greatest free agent signings in the history of New York sports. He's been worth every penny. He was, in a lot of people's minds, a tad bit overpaid when he first got the contract. And maybe that's fair. He had the most points ever in a Columbus Blue Jackets season. And then he comes over to the Rangers and he takes it to an even another level. What he's doing is just magnificent, and he should be very proud. Same thing with Pastrnak. Panarin's effort allowed, is one of the big reasons that the New York Rangers became the first team in the NHL to clinch a playoff spot. They did so by reaching the 100-point plateau on Tuesday. Thoughts on the Rangers clinching?
Yeah, thank you, Adam Fox, for that one. His
Yep, the
OT goal
OTGWG for Fox.
against the Flyers. Like
Yep.
Rangers fans now could begin to buy tickets to the playoffs. They could dive in. The only question that remains about this Rangers team is who will they face in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs? There's a few teams it could be. Most likely it'll be one of the Capitals, Red Wings, or the Lightning. However, I have a weird feeling that they're going to get upset in the first round. I mean, it'd be typical Rangers thing to do. Come into the postseason, choke in the playoffs. They've done it. Couldn't even win a cup with Lundqvist. You could argue their team's way better now than it was back then, but still, typical Ranger faction. The biggest factor, though, like I said before, is you can't have Panarin go cold. He's the team leader in points by 30 points, wide margin. Kreider's been great. He's another guy helping score goals for this team. He's another guy that really can't go cold. Otherwise, this team's in trouble, right? You could say that about any team, though. You can make the argument like Frank. Well, you could say that about any team. If their top scorer goes cold, then they're in trouble, right? Well, right. But more so for the Rangers, just based off their previous playoff success, it almost feels like it's Stanley Cup or bust for the New York Rangers because they're just always so good, and then they just don't go anywhere. They don't win anything. It's just an endless, terrible cycle. If you're a New York Rangers fan, I'd be pissed if I was a Rangers fan. Maybe that's I'm blessed with 3 cups for the Hawks, but you got nowhere with the New York Rangers so far. When was their last cup win? 1990? 19 whenever?
94.
94? Yeah, like I'd be pissed. Like we got these great teams. It's almost like being a Steelers fan. Yeah, Tomlin's been great, but are we okay being a above 500 team and missing the playoffs and getting bounced out? No, and I don't think the Rangers feel the same way as well. So it's like this team has always had success in the regular season, then completely shits the bed come the playoffs.
Who beat the Rangers in the playoffs last year?
Give the props to the Devils, VP. I do.
Hell yeah. I would trade every player on the Rangers for the Devils. Like I would take the Devil situation over the Rangers 100%.
I mean, it's
Not
just,
even close. Enjoy your one season. Have fun with Tampa Bay in the first round. Speaking of Tampa Bay, red hot, probably the second hottest team
I'm not
behind the Nashville Predators. They're on the Leafs' tail. The Leafs might end up playing the Rangers.
VP, are we surprised here?
Frank,
VP,
you
cannot be surprised.
I want the Leafs to play the Rangers in the first round so bad.
The Leafs?
So bad.
Why?
Because they could smoke them. I would pick the Leafs in 5. It's not the Leafs choking a roster or a playoff spot away to the Lightning. It's the Lightning are that hot. Where
you want the Lightning to play the Rangers? You said
I want the Leafs. I want the Bruins to win the Atlantic, and I want the Lightning to come up and play the Panthers in the Battle of Florida in the first round.
I wouldn't want to play Tampa right now.
But I don't care who wins that series. I want the Leafs to play the Rangers so I can watch Austin Matthews against the Rangers in the first round. I want it like I want air. I need it. I need it.
But are we surprised Tampa's this hot? No, this team thrives in these conditions down the final stretch of the regular season. This is them. Right. Yeah. This is the team that knows how to get hot at the right time, translate all that success into the postseason, hence why they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 consecutive years. I mean, this team is too cracked. And once again, they opened the season a little slow, mainly due to not being healthy and not having Vasilevsky to start the year. But Jonas Johansson, he's been serviceable. Sure, his stats aren't great, but this is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, this is one of the very few teams in the NHL who knows how to win at all costs at any point in the season, especially when it comes to the playoff stretch. So I'm not surprised at all. They're just one of those teams you never want to see in the postseason.
Absolutely. I mean, Hall of Famers all over the place.
It's crazy.
Daddy Vasilevsky, I call him that. Victor Hedman is perfect. Stamkos, Kucherov, Point is incredible. Yeah, Tampa Bay's sick. Again, them catching the Leafs for third, I don't think that's bad Leafs. I really don't. Because if you're 10-0-0 in your last 10 and the other team's 8-2-2 in their last 10 or 8-2-0 in their last 10, the team behind will gain ground. But it's not like the Leafs have been playing bad. Now they got killed by the Devils yesterday. Not killed, but they lost to the Devils yesterday. But the Leafs had a little hot run too. all these teams have hot runs. For my personal bias, I want the Leafs to play the Rangers. I want to be all in on that. I mean, that would be so sick. But it takes Tampa Bay continuing their hot stretch. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, Frank. Those are my NHL points that I had for the day. A lot of good hockey going on. You need to be watching the NHL. That's just really my best way to put it. It's the best league in the world. All right, Frank. Let's move on to some of the other sports that we love, and we're going to do that in period number 3. Frank, give us a March Madness update.
I love March Madness, man. So
You
much.
do?
So much.
No.
Like, there really are no Cinderella runs this year, but there have been some massive upsets, right? Yale beat number 4 ranked Auburn. 14th seeded Oakland upset number 3 seed Kentucky, which is really not becoming a surprise. Kentucky's been a top 3 seed in each of the last few years, and they've lost 3 out of the 4, or 3 times out of the past 4 years in the first round. So it's like, okay, Kentucky's becoming a choke. 12th seeded James Madison defeated Wisconsin. Pretty big upset, but then like all the upsets really end there. The tournament's been fantastic though. Still, obviously, we've seen some great matchups that's gone into overtime. One game go to double overtime. Quite a few teams have scored 100 points, including Colorado, who beat Florida 102-100, which is just unheard of, really, for college games scoring that high because you only played 2 20-minute halves. So everything's been great. All the upsets I predicted turned out to be true. I thought James Madison would upset Wisconsin. They did. I thought North Carolina State would upset Texas Tech. They did. And they did so easily. And now North Carolina State's in the Sweet 16, and they're the only double-digit seed left in March Madness. Left in March Madness in the field of 16, which I thought was crazy. And this stat I thought was crazy too, that this is just the 5th time ever that every 1 and 2 seed has made it to the Sweet 16.
Wow.
Only the 5th time ever, and they've been doing this since 1939 or 1934, and it's only the 5th time ever that every 1 and 2 seed has made it to the Sweet 16. That just goes to show you how crazy March can be in other years, and you could look at this in one of 2 ways, right? That there's not as many crazy deep Cinderella runs, so that's something everybody looks forward to, and it kind of sucks. Or you could look at it as we have so many great matchups in the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 because there are so many great teams left. That's the way I look at it. We're going to have some dogfights in these next upcoming rounds. I can't wait for it. Sweet 16 kicks off tomorrow. Elite 8 kicks off this weekend. I cannot wait. We got some great matches against great matchups for some of the best teams in the country. It's been so much fun.
Very good. Love that, Frank. Thank you for
Oh.
the update. I'm very much looking forward to it. Most of my brackets stink. But my champion in each of my brackets that I made is alive. I picked Houston and won.
Good choice. That's who I
Thanks to
chose.
you. It was
Good.
thanks to you. And then in another, I picked Purdue. And my logic, I know you kind of crapped on them last week,
Yeah.
but my logic was I have to pick Purdue at least once because if they don't and they win, I would be so mad because the last time a 1 seed lost, they came back and won the next year. And knowing that, now if Purdue wins this year, I will subscribe to that logic for the rest of my life.
It's fair.
Like I don't know. I don't know. But
I have them losing to Gonzaga on Friday.
nice.
It'd be an upset, but it's like Gonzaga is one of those teams like the Lightning that thrive, right,
Yep.
in the bracket, and it's just I don't know. They're a 5 seed this year, so it'd be an upset to a lot of people because there's a lot of people who think Purdue could win it all. Zach
Yeah.
Edey's a stud. He's 7'4".
That's crazy.
He's as tall as Wembanyama.
Yeah, that's insanity.
Isn't that crazy?
Will he play in the NBA?
Yeah.
Like
Now, I don't know if he'd be a
high
number
pick?
1 pick like Wembanyama. He'd definitely probably go in the first round. Like something like him, and he scores. Like he just had 30 points the other night. He's not like a tall guy that's just all about dunking. He had a couple fadeaways. I was like, oh, okay, I see you. Like I think he's masterful and he's great in more ways than one. Just he'll go high. He'll go in the first round.
What's his name?
Zach Edey. Now, I
Zach.
don't know if he's a senior this year. He's been there for as long as I could remember. I'd assume he's at least a junior. I thought maybe he's a senior, but I don't know where he is on the mock draft.
On Tankathon's mock draft, he's going in the second round, which there's only 2 rounds in the NBA draft.
Wow.
They have him going third overall of the second round. To what team?
The Bulls. The
The
Kings.
San Antonio Spurs.
The Spurs. You have
Him and
Wembanyama. Oh
Wembanyama
my
on the
God.
same, be the tallest team in NBA history.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would take him in the first round. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Okay.
Guys like this don't come around too often. We don't see the Shaqs and the Wembanyamas. Like it's rare. So I would take advantage of it because he's a good shooter as well. Now, he's not a 3-point threat like Wembanyama. I think that's ultimately why Wembanyama went first. He'll pull up from 3 or he'll get down low in the paint and score. I think that's what makes Wembanyama the type of generational player he is, because no big man in the NBA was really like that. And Zach Edey's not like that, but I'd still think he's first round quality.
Interesting. Well, they got him barely going in the second on this mock draft, so maybe this does improve his stock. He is on this mock draft the tallest player by 2 inches.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
he's huge.
the
7'4".
second
That's what I'm saying.
tallest.
These guys don't come around.
The second tallest is Donovan Clingan from UConn.
Okay, yeah, he
So,
is pretty tall. I saw him the other day. He's lengthy.
yeah,
He
lengthy.
doesn't look as tall as Zachy, but you could tell he's tall.
For sure. All right, Frank. So I revealed my playoff predictions on South Burbs Hitman on Monday, but I haven't tweeted them yet for the MLB. Of course, I'm talking.
Mhm.
I'll give a refresher on what I picked to you and to the audience because I'm sure you haven't heard yet. And I'm going to tweet them live with the show.
You're gonna be shocked at mine. I think.
We'll see.
Maybe not terribly shocked.
Yeah, the floor is yours. Start with the NL and then go to the AL.
Do you want me to do NL division winners and then AL division winners, or complete NL?
Just complete NL, complete AL.
Right.
I'll probably be able to figure out which one
6
of yours
from
are
each,
division
right?
winners.
Well,
Yep.
I'll tell you the division one. I'll tell you.
Okay. All right.
I don't have an in-depth for each team, so I'll kind of run through it fairly quick.
Okay.
I got the Dodgers as chalk here for the NL West. I think everybody in their right mind are going to be choosing the Dodgers head to toe. Their team's stacked, their lineup scary. And I read today Will Smith is in talks for a 10-year extension for $140 million.
It's done.
It's done. Okay, so that right there, this team's just isn't afraid to spend money. They're cracked. They should win their division. It doesn't always happen though, right? It doesn't always happen, but I would, if somebody says you got to bet your life on it, you'd have to choose the Dodgers would win. Right, so I got the Dodgers winning the NL West. NL East going to go to the Atlanta Braves. Again, I just the teams in their division, the Phillies and all that. I don't think there's enough talent to overthrow the Braves. They're just so good each year, and their team just not a whole hell of a lot different than it was last year. I see them just going on a tear again, honestly. And if you told me the Braves would have the best record in the NL at the end of the year, I wouldn't call you crazy. I wouldn't pick it, but I wouldn't call you crazy. I'll hear an argument for it, right? So
I did last year.
Exactly. So, but I think the Dodgers this year are going to be the favorite to do that, obviously. But it's
Yeah.
like it's not a crazy take. So I got the Braves winning the NL East. I got the Chicago Cubs winning the NL Central. I mean, that division, there's really everybody got worse in their division. I mean, the Brewers are going to be much worse. What's his name? Oh, Christian Yelich. He's just been so bad since that great year he had, and now you lost your coach. It's like the Cubs really thriving with the young guys. Say a Suzuki. He's been fantastic. I love Suzuki a lot. I think he'll do good things this year. Their pitching, we'll see. Their pitching is I don't know. I don't have an opinion on it yet. I'm on the fence on it. I think it could be really good, or it could go really south quickly. I'm leaning towards it'll be fairly good enough to win the division. So I have the Cubs winning the division for the NL Central. Now my 3 wild card teams. It's going to be the Phillies. It's going to be the Arizona Diamondbacks. You could argue. I almost left the Diamondbacks out. just because you're so good, young team, you have a letdown year the year after, right? Kind of similar to the Devils, except the Devils had to deal with injuries. I do think this Diamondbacks team is really good though, with Corbin Carroll and who's their other young
Their rotation is nasty.
and who's their other young batter?
Um,
Not Corbin Carroll. There's another guy though. It's not not the brother who plays in the MLB.
is it Alec Thomas?
Alec Thomas, he's great. That's not who I was thinking of though.
Oh,
Um,
let me see. I don't know who you're thinking of.
oh man, I could picture him. Shoot.
Corbin
Well, it doesn't
Carroll.
matter.
Oh, Lourdes Gurriel Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gurriel
he's
Jr.
real good, and the
brother.
Alec
He's
Thomas is real good too. And they signed freaking what's his name yesterday? Jordan Montgomery.
Is their closer still that Mariners guy? What's his name? Paul Sewald.
Yep.
I love Paul Sewald. Great pitcher. I was gonna leave him off, and then I'm like, you just can't. You just can't. And then the third team I have from the wild card for the National League, I got the Giants. So I think it's gonna be a big year for the Giants. You're gonna call me crazy. What if the Giants win the division somehow? I have a weird feeling.
There
Like
was 2021. They won 107. The Dodgers won 106.
I think it's going to be a dogfight again, honestly, for the Giants. So I have the Giants in
Frank,
the NL.
we have the exact same except one. And I on Southburb's Hitman.
Is it the Giants?
I went back and forth between the Giants and the Padres, and I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and I set on the Padres, and I clicked the Padres instead, and that's my one difference from you. But I the point I'm trying to make is it was them and the Padres, and I flipped a coin.
I know the Giants made some big moves. I can't name any off the top of my head, but I remember them.
They got Snell.
Okay, so they did get Snell. I was gonna say that, and I wasn't sure. That was another key factor, because I know they made some big signings this year.
Yeah, they're sick. They have Matt Chapman, Jorge Soler.
Yeah,
they got Young Hoo Lee.
I just have
Robbie Ray is
that
there
was
now.
the one
Yeah, I mean, if Robbie Ray has a bounce back year, if he's
great rotation.
Yeah, if he's Blue Jays Robbie Ray, Yastrzemski's awesome. People like Alex Cobb. I mean, yeah, the Giants are really good.
I like Alex Cobb. He's all right. So that's my NL. I could do the AL now.
Yep, do the AL.
AL West, unfortunately, I got the shitty Astros. I can't stand that franchise. It's just unfortunate for the Mariners having to play in such a tough division with the Astros, the Rangers. It's just annoying, to be honest with you. But I got to give them the edge to win the AL West. In the AL East, I'm going with the Baltimore Orioles, man. This is another young team like the Diamondbacks who could really win the World Series if things get clicking. Like the Baltimore Orioles are not to be messed with. I love what they're doing there. Adley Rutschman, you were high on him from the beginning. This team is just, it's unbelievable, and I just love what they're doing. I love watching Oriole games too. They're exciting. They're fun to watch. So I think they're going to win the division, honestly. So. And then in the AL Central, you call me crazy. I think the Tigers get it done, VP. I honestly do. I like what I saw out of them last year. I think a lot of their young guys as well are getting into form. Their pitching's coming to form. It's almost like we saw a glimpse of what they could do. They weren't great last year, but they were good enough to give teams a headache. And I just think that translates into something just bigger and better this year. I don't know why. I think I might be the only one on planet Earth that is choosing the Tigers to win this division, but it's just something about it. I don't know. It's just I got that feeling that they're going to do good things based off what I saw last year, the little glimmer I saw last year. So we'll see. The 3 wild card teams, I'm going with the Mariners to get back to the postseason. Maybe a little bit of bias. I don't care. The only thing that worries about me is I don't love what they did in this offseason. It stunk. And on paper, they might be the 3rd best team in the division. They might be the 2nd best. I think the Rangers are going to have a letdown year this year. Spoiler alert. I do think the Rangers make it. Well, they'll be my 2nd team, but I think they just squeak in. I think they're going to be a bubble team. I contemplated leaving the Rangers off And the only reason I didn't is because I gave them the respect of them winning the World Series last year. And why do I think they're not going to make it? I don't know. They still got Adolis Garcia and Corey Seager, and I mean their lineup is still, and Marcus Semien, and like their lineup's still great. Just one of those things, like those hangover years you get sometimes from these teams. And I think the Rangers are just one of those teams. I think the Cubs are going to beat them tomorrow in opening day. So yeah, and then my third and final team, I'm going to go with the Yankees. I think the Yankees will get back to the postseason. It's hard to keep a team with Aaron Judge out of the postseason. They missed it last year, right? They missed it last year, but that's the thing. I don't think they're going to miss 2 years in a row. So I got the Yankees getting back there. So those are my teams.
We have two different. I got the Twins winning the Central.
Yeah, I
And
figured
instead of having the Yankees squeak in, I don't love that Garrett Cole's not going to be there till June. I picked the Blue Jays.
I thought about the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
I really did.
I
almost thought about the Blue Jays winning that division. I'm like the Orioles, though.
I picked them to win the division.
The Blue Jays?
Yeah. And I have the Orioles in as a wild card. But I could see them both winning 103 games. 103, 102. Like, I honestly, I think they're both that good, and just one will have to be a wild card. That's what I think it's going to come down to. I picked on South Burbs Hitman the Blue Jays to win the World Series over the Philadelphia Phillies. That was my early season BS prediction. That's going to be wrong. You got one of those?
Prediction for the World Series?
Like way too early. I know I'm going to be wrong. There's 162 damn games to play type prediction.
I think the Orioles will go to the World Series to play the Braves. And I think the Orioles get it done.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting.
Crazy prediction.
Absolutely. The plan is to have Crosstown Crosstalk on the Barroom Network tomorrow ahead of opening day. Thomas Gage says, VP, where's our new stadium going to be? Where will this still be known as the Southsiders, even if the stadium is built on the north side? It won't be as north as Wrigley Field. So relative to the Cubs, the White Sox will be the Southsiders still, in my opinion. Even if they're a mile south, they're still the Southsiders. Even if it's not the south side of Chicago. Do you get what I'm saying? Relative to the Cubs, the only reason North Side or South Siders exist is because there's two.
Right.
Nobody would say that if one team left town forever.
Right.
So yeah. Frank, what are you watching this weekend?
So, we finished the first season of The Traders.
Hell yeah.
I was gonna text you. I'm like, I'll just tell you on the podcast.
She finally won something.
She finally won something. Yep. It was. She played a masterful game.
Yes, she was amazing.
Unbelievable.
Maybe the best game anyone's ever played at a specific game I've seen.
It was unbelievable.
I can't think of a better person on Survivor playing Survivor better. I can't think of a Big Brother player ever playing Big Brother better.
The only thing I will say, and I am partially biased but partially not, is Dan's funeral that year played a masterful game. Absolutely.
That's up there. Didn't watch the season, watch plenty of YouTube videos. It's up there.
It was unbelievable because in Survivor or Big Brother, when your neck's on the line, you're boned. Yeah. You're going home. The way he formed a plan to get off the block and make it to the finale was unbelievable. Like I've never seen anything like that in anything. Could you imagine who is a big target on Big Brother this past season besides Suri?
Jag literally got sent home.
Like
ended up winning.
Yeah, that wasn't him. He
got lucky
to come back.
Matt saved him.
Right. But who was like a big player of recent time? Who was like
Michael?
Because he didn't win.
No.
Like imagine Michael spinning his way out of the web, like he knew he was dead, spinning his way, and then getting to the finale.
Yeah.
Like that shit's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he did that. But no, Suri, I might agree with you though. It might be the best that anybody's ever played. It was masterful.
Yes.
Absolutely a beauty to watch.
It's in the team photo at minimum.
Oh my God, guaranteed. That's top 2 maybe at minimum. Like it might be number 1. I could hear it for number 1.
At no point did I not think she was gonna win. By herself. Herself.
G even said in the beginning, she goes, if there's one trader left, it's gonna be Suri.
Yeah.
Well, Christian talked too much, but that's
way too much.
Sorry, spoilers for people who are watching.
I mean, if something's over a year old, like and you don't know somebody is actively watching, then I don't think if you know they're watching and you're just saying it to be a douche, then yeah, you're a dick.
I don't think anybody here is going to watch the first season or has interest through it, but I could be wrong. But But yeah, great. And season 3's confirmed, and I can't wait to drop into season 2.
Hell
I
yeah.
got to see my man on that show. But Deal or No Deal was great. Did you see it?
I'm one episode behind, but
Okay,
I'm
good.
caught up on Survivor.
It's good. Survivor. We'll be watching Survivor tonight. An
Yep,
amazing
tonight.
race. I can't wait. It's been fantastic. The season of Survivor is a little wacky.
A little
Um,
wacky.
the cast is wacky. There's a
Yep.
lot of Banu's a character for sure. I've never seen anybody like Banu in the history of watching
Isn't that
shows.
the guy that just went home?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I've never seen a guy like Banu in the history. Like, it's just so direct,
Yeah.
and so bad at the game.
Yeah,
Like,
he was
yeah,
terrible.
I
He was terrible. I
like,
felt bad because like he clearly loves it so much, but like I love
yeah.
hockey, but I stunk at it.
But then he's like on his hands and knees blaming his own God.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
little messed up.
Yeah.
Like, that's a little like he's pointing to this guy, you did this to me. Like that's just messed up. Like, you don't do that type of thing. Like I don't know. He's a character. Like, oh my God. I don't even know. Like, you son of a bitch. Like, just
Like
blaming. Like, how do you do that?
it's like that episode of South Park when Cartman's pissed at God.
I know,
And he
like,
goes, "You stupid butthole God."
like,
Oh
how do
my
you get
God.
on your knees and
Oh
just
my God. I
I don't
forgot
know.
about that. Yeah, that's true. He did. He was mad at his own God.
And then he literally comes back from their little game or hunt they go on and be like, so yeah, I told them you guys were close. And they're all like he just spewed so much information. I didn't get it, and he was just a bad liar. Literally one of a kind.
Yeah.
I
100%.
adore Banu. Like, I love Banu, like, just because of he was funny to watch, but he's not a good Survivor player.
No, not at all.
And he said he was a super fan. I don't believe him. Because if you're a super fan, you know you gotta lie and do
Yeah.
what you gotta do. I just don't believe him. But
Yep.
we
Yep.
also, you'll like this, VP. We went to a mystery movie at AMC. They try to do it every Monday. You don't know what you're seeing. Tickets are $5. You just know the length of the movie and what it's rated. And it's a movie that it hasn't hit theaters yet. It's not out. You can't buy a ticket to go see it today if you want to do.
Oh.
This one was Scream Unseen. It's normally called Screen Unseen, but the Scream Unseen is a horror movie that they do. They usually try to do it like 1 out of every 4 mystery movies. They like to throw in a horror movie in there. And we saw Sting, which is about a giant killer spider.
Nice.
And little cheesy. I didn't think the spider was ultra realistic. It could have been more realistic, but obviously, not being a well-known movie, the budget's probably lower end, and you're not gonna get like great when it comes to that. But it was okay. It wasn't a bad movie.
I understand.
It wasn't a bad movie. It was funny. It's like, even bad horror is good horror. Like, cheesy horror movies are good horror movies. People love it. The theater was packed. But that was a lot of fun. I like doing that, so that's what we've been watching.
Very good.
Also, I will say, I don't know if you saw Jersey Jerry's stream last night.
I did not.
His goal was to win 1 Fall Guys game. That's it. 1 game of Fall Guys. Harder than it looks. Because me being a gamer, I've struggled to win games of Fall Guy, right? It's like, he's not a gamer. And when you have 15,000 people trying to join your game and purposely troll you to lose, and like, they condoned it. They're like, oh, you could join the game and help him win. Well, nobody's going to help him win. They're all going to try and make him lose. It was so funny.
Really?
And I don't know. I didn't catch the tail end of the stream because he started playing squads. I'm like, oh, you little prick. You're going to cheat to get your win, because he was playing solos.
Yeah.
Like, if you have somebody carry you to a win, it's not a win. So I don't know if he ever got his win in squads. The stream ended, so I assume he got it. It was so much fun. And it makes me want to download it and play it on Xbox again.
I've never played it.
I went through a stint of playing it almost every night, and it was so much fun. And watching him play, it makes me want to do it again. So I just might.
Hell yeah. Good shit. Well, that's what Frankie's watching and playing. This week I'll be just college hockey and the NHL. And baseball starts tomorrow. So I want to pretend like I'm excited for the White Sox. Yeah, I'm excited for the White Sox. I'm excited to watch the whole league. I really am. The West Coast baseball is going to be sick this year. I can't wait to watch the NL West. The Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants are going to be going at it every night, and I want to be as involved as I can. Section 10, my all-time favorite podcast, is back too, and watching the Red Sox this season. That's going to be, sorry, I didn't mean to bump that. That's going to be like the definition of my summer, I think, is watching the Red Sox and following along with Section 10.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I got going on this weekend in terms of what I'm watching,
nice.
listening to, playing.
MLB.
Absolutely. All right, Frank. It's time for America's favorite podcast segment of the week. Breaking Bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
I flipped my hat to forward because my ears were hurting.
Okay. Not a bad week. Went 1 for 2. Percentage still fine.
Better than what it was.
But a lot better than what it was. Still positive on the year, which is good. You like to see that for people who are tailing. I remember that one guy who came in. He was going to take my picks, and we did fantastic that week. And he never showed back. Like he never chatted back. It makes me a little sad.
Well, he came, took your money, and left.
He didn't take my money, but we won together. But he never came back. Then it's a little sad.
Which you'd think if you got good picks from someone, you'd come back. But
yeah, it's a little surprising. But anyway, the show must go on, VP. Tonight, 2 games on the hockey slate. 1 fantastic game. We got the Boston Bruins facing off against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We talked about how hot Tampa Bay is right now. And at this point in time, this is going to be a very tough game for the Lightning. I think it's going to be tough for both teams, actually. Tampa Bay's won 2 of the first 3 meetings against the Bruins. The game the Bruins won, they scored 7 goals. It's going to be a dogfight. Bruins are just as hot. However, anytime I could get the home team here at good value, I like to go with it. Bruins are in the midst of a little road trip. Lightning just got done with a lengthy road trip. They're going to be happy to get back on home ice. I'm going to go with the Lightning money line here. I think Pastrnak and Kucherov is going to be a treat to watch against each other, and it should be a very entertaining game regardless of what happens. But I'm going to go with the Lightning money line, -115, bet to win 2 units. Second pick, a little NBA action. Bulls have been horrendous lately, absolutely horrendous. They lost. They were double-digit favorites the other night versus the Wizards. They failed to win the game outright. Let alone they didn't cover. They didn't win the game outright. They lost as double-digit underdogs against one of the worst teams in the NBA. Pacers, on the other hand, they've been playing near perfect basketball. I'm very impressed with the way the Pacers have played this year. And this will be game 5, I believe, on their road trip that the Pacers are on. But they've picked up big wins on the road during the stretch against the Clippers, against the Warriors, against an underwhelming Pistons team. But I expect the Bulls to be added to that list by the end of the night. I'm taking Pacers money line at -135, bet to win 3 units. My final pick. Got to add a little bit of March Madness because I'm not going to be able to do this till the end of the year then. So not many college basketball picks left. But we got Clemson and Arizona tomorrow. Going to be a treat, I think. Arizona's 7.5-point favorites. I like Clemson plus 7.5. Clemson's been on a tear through the first 2 rounds of March Madness. They beat New Mexico, the 11 seed, in the first round, and they were the dog against the 11 seed. The 11 seed was the favorite, which tells you a lot about how underwhelming this Clemson team is despite being a 6 seed. But then, after having that, I guess, is a mild upset, not really if you look at the standings, they come and beat 3rd seeded Baylor in the second round, which was a huge win for Clemson. It's like, okay, wait a second. Maybe we shouldn't underestimate Clemson. They're a powerhouse. Now, Arizona, that's going to be a tall task. Much, much different. It's going to be harder to contain and defeat this team. But I feel like the way Clemson's playing, 7.5 points are just way too much to pass up on, especially on a neutral court. So I'm going to go Clemson plus 7.5. -110, bet to win 1 unit, nothing too crazy, just because I don't know if what we're seeing is just all a facade and Arizona is going to blow them out of the water. I don't think so. I think 7.5 is too much. Clemson plus 7.5, -110, bet to win a unit. That's what I got for you, VP. You're muted.
Very good picks, Frank. Outstanding stuff. I like your picks. I hope you end up getting that thing well over.
We've been right in March Madness a lot.
Yes,
so.
yes. You know your March Madness, and a couple of the upsets that you called, JMU to name one of a bunch.
Yeah.
Just really, really good stuff. So, what else you got?
That's it, VP. I'm looking forward to the MLB season. I can't wait for opening day. Cubs and Rangers tomorrow. Cubs facing the reigning World Series champions. That should be good. Like I said, Sweet 16, Elite 8 in March Madness, and we got college hockey to look forward to too this weekend for the Frozen Four tournament. So that'll be fun.
Absolutely. I can't wait for all of it. It's going to be so much fun. And I can't thank everybody who came into our chat today and watched our show enough for tuning in, Frank. We did a good job. We went over college hockey in the first round, the NHL in the second round, all the other sports in the third round. Frankie's got your bets covered if you were watching now, but you want to go back and listen to the audio. Obviously, you can find it on Apple, Spotify, here on YouTube, wherever it is that you get podcasts. It's right there. It's good stuff. So it's been another good episode. Make sure you tune into the rest of the shows on the Barroom Network, including Crosstown Crosstalk. And then, of course, if you're a White Sox fan, South Burbs Hitman every Monday has returned. And, we're so stoked to help bring you through this White Sox season. That's probably not going to be, very fruitful in terms of winning. But, we're going to have a good time with it. We'll be at the ballpark. So I'm excited about it. And make sure you tune in. Frank, any last words?
Go Mariners, go Cubs.
Go Mariners, go Cubs from Frank. I'll say go White Sox, go Braves, and we'll say go Red Sox. And you know what? Go Mariners for you as well.
I thought you liked the Orioles, though, too.
So that one season, the Orioles were just like my team that I was like hyped up on. Go Orioles, too. Of course, I like them. But it was that one particular season where I saw them as like the under. Like last year was the Reds were the version of that.
Yeah.
Like I just enjoyed watching them play because they were young and vibrant. I don't know who that team is for me yet. We'll figure it out soon. Maybe it's the Giants. Maybe it's the Padres. But the teams that I always cheer for, no matter how good or bad they are, is the Braves, the White Sox, and the Red Sox.
Okay.
But I'm excited about it. And then, of course, my Devils, the rest of the NHL. It's going to be so fun. So, Frank, can't thank you enough. To everybody in the chat, love you very much. And as always, thank you for listening.
Thank you.